Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Blackmore, and today I'm joined by Frederick Vallaeys. You may know him around the community. He's been a great help to me and my clients. So today I wanted to take an opportunity to see how easy setting up ads with the spreadsheet is. So to get started, what you're going to need is you're going to need your website provider to export a product sheet. So if you're an automotive dealer, you need to get a hold of your website company and ask them to export out a feed of your new and used vehicles. And there's a couple ways that they can export that out. One currently that we're using is through an FTP, our own server, or you can use Google Drive. And it's really simple. Once they can automate the export out daily, we have it set up about 5 o'clock in the morning to run. And I'm just gonna show you real quick how easy this really is. I'm just gonna share my screen with you. And we'll get started here. So every day I just come in here, I use Dreamweaver. I'm not endorsing it or saying necessarily you have to use Dreamweaver, but it's a really good tool for me. I just come in here daily and I hit synchronize, and it will pull my exported inventory feed. As you can see on the right here, here's all my files. And I have it syncing right into Google Sheets, Google Drive, essentially, but becomes Google Sheets. So as you can see here, everything is nicely laid out in the columns. And you're gonna need these once we move over to Optimizer here. So this is step one, is to get the actual data exported from your website. Now, you could be in real estate, you could be automotive, you could just have a multi-product site. It works either way. So once you have step one completed, we're gonna move on to step two, and that's going to consist of Optimizer. One of my favorite tools, great time saver. I've been using Optimizer now for, God, I don't know, almost 2 years. And I can't even count how much time it saved me, and time is money. So all we do is we're gonna log in here. And as you can see, only rock stars are allowed beyond this point, so I think I will. And I'm gonna have Frederick kind of explain the actual setup process, as it entails in Optimizer, since this is his baby. But I'm just gonna show you currently where I have one set up, this up all by myself. So it's really not that hard. Just go to Enhanced Scripts. You can see there is my Create Ads from Spreadsheet. Just go ahead and click on that. And drop down, we're gonna go to Edit. And so here's step one. Frederick, if you don't mind, if you could just kind of walk them through what they're seeing here, and I'll go ahead and just click Next when you're ready.
Sure. And I hope everyone can hear me, but first of all, thanks for doing this, Mike. Always happy to show off my baby here, Optimizer. And what we realized was a lot of people have structured data just like you do, as far as the inventory of the used cars and the new cars that you sell. And oftentimes when it comes to putting that into AdWords, it's very structured, right? You want to put the same type of ad group, the same type of keywords, the same type of ad text, and you're just varying it based on what is the actual model and the make of the car. So that's sort of the whole foundation of why we built this script in the first place. So the idea is really you're going to maintain an entire campaign based off of the data that exists in the spreadsheet. And for us to be able to automate this, what Mike is showing you right now are a couple of steps where you have to specify what the template actually looks like. Okay, so this first page here, the setting name, that is just so that you can remember what this refers to. That's an Optimizer internal name. A lot of people will use one for used vehicles, maybe a different one for new vehicles. Maybe you have different brands of vehicles and you want to have different ad templates, keyword templates. So but you can have one setting for each of the different templates that you want. The next step there is the Google spreadsheet. So that's simply the URL of that spreadsheet that Mike was showing before. You can just copy paste that whole thing over. And then there's a couple of advanced settings here. So run it in preview mode. That would actually not create the ad. So that would just show you what it would create. So if you're ready to do this, put it to no. And then I actually need to remove this option, but in that transition period, when expanded text ads and legacy text ads existed at the same time. We let people choose what to use, but at this point, the only thing you can do is expanded text ads. So from here, you'll click next. Now, Mike may already be authorized on that spreadsheet because he's obviously, his Google account created that spreadsheet, but what we're doing here is we're making sure that the same user who's running the script has access to that spreadsheet. And once that authorization is done, so just simply click on yes, we go to step number 2, and now we've read in the spreadsheet and all of the column headers. Mike was pointing out how it's really important to have the right headers because these are going to become your dynamic insertion points. So now, yeah, exactly. So you can see there on the spreadsheet how that maps. So everything in that first row, you're going to see right there on the right-hand side in between square brackets. But you have to put this into an existing campaign name. This is kind of a key thing. So scripts and this technology is not able to make new campaigns for you. So you have to have a campaign that's already up and running. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to fill the campaign with a ton of stuff. It could literally be a shell, campaign name, campaign budget, and whether it's a search campaign, basically, right? So just set that up as a shell. Very easy. You can copy and paste it like 20 times, and then you have all of these shells ready to be populated by this script. So the next part, and this is where Mike is typing right now, that's really the cool part. So here you get to specify how are we going to group all of the different things that we sell, in this case cars, how are we going to group those into different ad groups? So you see that right there on the list on the right-hand side, you got all of these insertion parameters available. And so what Mike has done is he said we're going to combine make, model, and year. So he's just clicked on those, it's automatically inserted them. You can type some additional text in there, by the way, so you could say, used car, colon, and then do dynamic insertion. So it's a combination of static text and dynamically inserted text. And of course, what happens, I'm sure you're imagining this, but when it says square bracket make, that means insert the make that we find on the spreadsheet. Okay, so here Mike is going to combine all the cars from the same year and make and model into a single ad group. But Mike, another thing you could have done was make one ad group for each individual car that you saw. In that case, you would have inserted just the VIN number as the ad group, because that obviously is a unique identifier for the car, right? So now we're going to make one ad group for each line on the spreadsheet for each individual car. But if you wanted to do groupings, so the way Mike had it, you would do it make, model, year. Okay, so the max CPC, that is going to be your starting maximum CPC at the ad group level. You can put in an ad group label, something like automatically generated through script, anything to help you remember how to find this back. And then param1 and param2. Okay, so not everybody here probably has used param1 and param2, but these are kind of like dynamic keyword insertion, right? You know how you can do squiggly brackets in AdWords and say keyword? Well, that's for a piece of text. Param1 and param2 are specifically intended for numerical values. And these are nice because the prices of used cars probably change. The number of units you have in inventories changes. Now, rather than you constantly rewriting the ad text based on that and getting the ad, basically the old one is deleted, a new one gets created, it has to be reviewed, it has to be approved. You lose your historical stats on the old ad. Param1 and param2 allow you to keep the same ad, the same review status, so it's already approved, and all you're doing is you're changing numerical values. So the price could be going up or down. How many units you have in stock might change. So for param2, Mike, let's put in miles, for example, right? So you have a used car, it's been test driven a bunch of times, and maybe you update how many miles it has. This would now automatically reflect that in the ad text. And actually, it's not reflecting it in the ad text until you start using these params. So here you're just populating values into it. Okay, the last two lines on this page for settings, modify existing ad group. And Mike, if you don't mind hovering over the question mark, that's the best way to see what's happening here, right? So it says if we're allowed to modify existing ad groups, it will actually go and make new keywords in existing ad groups. Some people like to run this automation on top of an existing campaign, and they say, well, don't touch anything that I've already manually created. So obviously one of the risk factors is you dynamically generate the whole campaign, you start manually managing the keywords, maybe you delete a few keywords that don't work really well. Well, this script would actually keep pushing those keywords back into it every time it runs, because it says, well, that keyword is supposed to be there based on the template. So this tells us whether we're allowed to modify existing ad groups. And then the next one, this is one of the most powerful capabilities here, but if we find that an ad group is no longer necessary because no matching products come out of the spreadsheet, we can automatically go and pause that ad group, and then we'll automatically re-enable it if that becomes necessary. So generally want to put that to yes. Okay, so.
And I just want to add, Frederick, that is very, very powerful. Such an underrated feature that I didn't even know until I started using it. Sorry.
That's great. So yeah, by turning that flag to yes, it basically becomes an inventory management script where you literally stop showing ads when a product is no longer available. So you're not going to waste money on something you can't sell. Anyway, so that was step one, right? So now we've defined what is the ad group structure. So how are we going to group things from the spreadsheet in different ad groups? So now you get to the ad template. So by default, you're going to have one ad template. So we can just click on that. It'll open up what that is. So obviously this is expanded text. It's the same thing. You see all of your dynamic insertions you have available on the right-hand side. And now you can start constructing what your ad should say. So here Mike has done something where it's going to include the year, the make, and the model. So 2016 Ford F-150 would be your headline part one. And headline part two, now on sale for only $1 hour price. Okay, so it's going to pull the price from the spreadsheet and put that right there in the ad. Now, this is actually one of the places where you could have used param1, because if the price changes, it can pull that param value. The way that works is you put in a squiggly bracket. So Mike, if you type it out, you put in squiggly bracket param1, and then you put a colon, and then you put in our price in square brackets. Or actually, it's easier if you click on the hour price from the right-hand side, then you don't have to type it in. Right, so click on that, there you go. And so just to quickly explain that, so again, it's very similar to dynamic keyword insertion, where you say insert whatever the value from that param1 is, and then the colon and whatever is behind that, that indicates the default. So we're going to have a static default, which is the price in your spreadsheet right now. That's never going to change. So if at any point the price value becomes invalid or disappears from the spreadsheet, we're going to show the price that you had today. But the thinking, of course, is you're going to maintain the spreadsheet, keep that price in sync on the spreadsheet. So we're just going to show whatever that value is of the current price for that car. And so you put the dollar sign in front of the whole squiggly bracket so that you show the dollar sign before that. Okay, and then for description, Mike has a static line of ad text. So again, you could make that static, you could make it dynamic, it's up to you. The final URL, what Mike has done is he's taken the link off of the spreadsheet. So whatever your dealer inventory system told you was the link to that specific vehicle that's being inserted. You could also dynamically construct a URL. So you could go to dealership.com/Q equals, and then basically you put in whatever the query was. So if you have a search page and Q is what you put in front of the search terms, so put in something like Q equals make dash model. And of course, for those who want to do the dynamic insertions, right? So make and model would be pulled from the dynamic values on the right-hand side. So just click on the right there, make, and then dash model, something like that. So, so you can either grab the whole URL from the spreadsheet if it's fully defined there, or if you want to construct it yourself on the fly, you can do that too. So that's how that works. And then path one, path two, Mike is using static values here. But once again, if you wanted to use something dynamic, totally fine. The other thing you can do, by the way, is when you do dynamic keyword insertion, just squiggly bracket keyword, after that colon, you can still put in one of our dynamic values from the right-hand side to tell it what the default value should be. So, you know, we could put model right there. Anyway, that's how you define one ad text. We always recommend having multiple ad text variations running. So you could click that big blue button at the top. Don't do it, Mike, but that's where you would add additional ad texts. Okay, so you can add as many of those as you want. Anyway, then we go next. This is the most boring page of the system. So here we have to put in a default ad text. And this is just in the case where the dynamic insertions become too long So obviously, if the ad becomes too long, headline 1 is too long, Google would just straight out reject it. So you would end up with an ad group with no active ad text. So to prevent that, this is where you can put in something completely static, which is not going to be the best performing ad, but at least you're going to have an ad group that's running. Now, on the last page, and by the way, now you can use the tabs there at the top. So if I wanted to go back, I can even navigate back to ad group or ads. But on the ads page, do put in different variations, some shorter, some longer, so that ideally you'll always have at least one of the dynamic ads that's short enough to fit in the constraints that Google gives you. It's actually really hard for us on the fly to tell you if everything's going to fit because there's so many data points on the spreadsheet. So you kind of have to play with that to get it right. And Mike is going to show you in a minute how to see the output of all of this. But yeah, go next. And then the final stage here is putting in your keyword templates. So now, once again, you got all your dynamic insertions on the right-hand side. So if you want to run a keyword for used and then make plus model, that's how you do it. Mike has put pluses in front of everything there. So that's going to make it a broad match modified. The system is smart enough that when it says plus square bracket model, if model consists of multiple words, it's going to put the plus in front of every word within that string. So that's how you do broad match modified. Mike, go ahead and make one new keyword if you don't mind. So I want to show you that you can also do match type. So go ahead and type in a square bracket, and then maybe pick something from the right-hand side, like make and year, or any combination. Yeah. So and then you can put square brackets around this whole thing, and that would then yeah. So and one at the beginning as well. And that is now an exact match keyword. So that's one power feature right there. You can, of course, put in the quotation marks for phrase match, or you can just leave it as a broad match. And then finally, you might want to have different CPCs at the keyword level, different destination URLs at the keyword level. That is supported as well. So what you'll do after each keyword, you can put in a pipe, a vertical line afterwards. And then the first part, I believe, is the destination URL. So you could do dynamic insertion of the URL or a static one like Mike is doing here. And in the case where you put it in statically, you do have to define HTTP://. But anyway, that's how that works. And we have good documentation. So if you ever get confused, you can read all of the help details. So the first the first pipe, your destination URL, the second pipe, your CPC. So you can have different CPCs for the different keywords that you're putting in. So these are keyword level, CPC, keyword level, destination URL. So that's how that works. Right, and so you could even pull the CPC dynamically from the spreadsheet. That's totally an option that's out there too. So here you save it and we're done. So now what we've defined is what is the ad group structure, what's the ad text template, and what is the keyword template. And from here, I'll let Mike explain how he installed this in his account and how we can actually see the output in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Frederick. Yeah, so the first time you're going to want to download the script and install it. I've already done that, so we're going to skip that step and just take you right into the actual account. So let's go and jump in. Within the dashboard here, we're going to go and run the script. I'm just going to delete the current ad groups real quick, Fred, just to show them a real live example. So you can see, as Frederick mentioned, it's very important that you already have your campaign set in your account before you do the before you do the optimizer script. So that way it knows which campaign to marry all that magic to. So let's just go ahead real quick and we're gonna just remove these.
So Mike, we may be hitting an edge case here where I think it may complain about the campaigns already existing in a deleted state, but let's try it and see what happens.
Okay, all right, so as you can see here, under the bulk operations, under scripts, we've got the create used ads from Spreadsheet. So I'm gonna just go ahead and run it. You can see that I do have it scheduled to run daily at 7 a.m. And that coincides with my first step where we have the export coming at 5 a.m. So I've got a bit of padding just in case anything goes wrong. You never know with the internet. So here we go. I'm going ahead and run this script. It's gonna a nice log here. And just while this is running, I was just going to add, as I was going through this, a couple things that I had noticed right out of the gate was how easy this is to switch something out. Like you just literally go back into your optimizer script, and in the settings, if your spreadsheet location ever changed, or if you wanted to switch up your default keywords, really you just go back into here, and it's so easy to change out. And I think that was one thing that I was a little leery of in the beginning, Frederick, was, okay, now how do I change this? Where's Fred? You know, I was trying to muster through my own, and I actually turned out just fine. So just want to point that out real quick as well.
And then for anyone who hasn't worked with these scripts before, it's really easy the way we do it. So we've given Mike a very small piece of code to literally copy and paste into the bulk section of AdWords. So there's no code you actually have to write. You simply have to copy and paste it, put a schedule on, and then it connects to Optimizer to know exactly what to do with this.
Yeah, so Fred, that was the, when it was prompting me to download at the final step there in Optimizer, this is the actual thing I downloaded and pasted into the script, so you can see it here. Just in case anybody was curious. All right, so we're still running a little bit here, much longer. And as you can see, as it's going live, you can also view and see how it's being built out right in front of you. Like, I'm not trying to, get carried away or anything, Fred, but this truly blew my mind. I can't tell you how many calls I made to Google to try to get this set up on my own. And to be quite honest with you, I deal with a couple different automotive manufacturers, and the price that they charge to run this tool in-house on your website is anywhere from $500 to $600 American per website. So if you think about that, if you're running a group of sites and you want to do this for your entire dealerships, and you want to use, let's say, dealer.com or Dealer eProcess or Dealer Inspire, some of the major providers out there, they're definitely going to charge you a monthly fee to run this script on their end, and they're basically accessing the API and charging you, $597 American, where I have this set up with Frederick to run, and I'm just going to be as blunt as you can be. For $249 a month, I can't find a better way to spend my money. And that is the honest truth. I mean, if I take the combined spend that I do, 10 dealerships times $500, that's $5,000 a month that I need to invest to run this as automated as I'm doing it at $249 a month. So I'm just putting that out there. It is a small investment, but it's a huge savings in money monthly and in time for sure. So.
Yeah, and I love it when our customers say those things. So obviously,
yeah, he didn't pay me.
Yeah, I didn't.
No, this is very genuine. I asked Frederick, I know he's a very busy guy, I asked him if he could join me on this today to add the value, because I think this is going to change a lot of people's lives month to month. So we've got it ran. You can see that we batted 100%, Fred. We got 649 out of 649. And so that's always good to see. I'm going to come back to the campaigns tab, and we're going to go right back to the used vehicles campaign. I'm going to just hit refresh. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's as easy as that. I now have 79 plus ad groups created, just the way we formatted it. So you can see the make, model, and the year. And then if you actually go, we'll just jump into one here, the Santa Fe. You can actually see there's your keywords as promised. And here's your ads. They're all built out. Now, Frederick, I was going to ask you, in the case where it's building out one ad, I mean, I know best practice is to have multiple ad variations in each ad group. Is there anything to address that in the script, or is that something you just kind of have to come in here and create some variations?
No, so on that ads tab in our script, that's where you can add additional ads, and it will make all of those. And so again, with the caveat that, the caveat is that the ads you generate have to fit within the character limits. And so one of the most common errors that we see, actually there's a couple. So we see people having like incorrect data in the spreadsheets, having spaces and blank text where it shouldn't be. That can then lead to cases where keywords come out as blank, so that will create errors. And the other big error is the ad is too long, right? So you're trying to be doing too many things in an ad text. Or it could be, I mean, Mike, you know better than I probably do, but what's like the longest name of a car model that you can think of?
Oh God.
I think the new Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, the new Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland.
Exactly.
That's pretty long. Yes.
Okay, so if you were doing one ad for Ford F-150, very short, and then the Jeep Overland blah 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 Cherokee, okay, so that might be too long. So that's why I recommend having multiple ad templates, so that we'll find at least one that's short enough. It'll make that. But then in the cases of the Ford F-150, it would make different variations. So you could just vary up, for example, the description text. And then you can even use it. So, I mean, thanks for saying our tool is a great bargain, but it's a great bargain just to do what you see here. But we can. It also includes A/B testing for ads, keyword management. So now that you have all of these ad tests running, you can go to our tool to actually figure out which ones are the losers and the winners, and go do something with that.
Yeah, I think I didn't even mention that part. I was just so infatuated with the script that there's for that $249 I just paid for the script, but then in lieu I get all these and Frederick obviously has worked with me a lot one-on-one, just training me through these tools and like just kind of holding my hand through some of this stuff, because when I first jumped in it was very Japanese to me. I was a little overwhelming. I think I even said that to him, is like, hey, there's so many good things in here to do. Where do I start? And so I have to say, Frederick took a couple sessions with me one-on-one, and I'm not offering his services on his behalf, but he certainly he believes in the product, and he was willing to take the time with me and get me through the ropes. And now I live and die by this every day. So that's pretty much the just do a quick recap. Is step one is you need to work with your website provider, or if you currently have a website with WordPress, there's an add-on for that, and I can leave that in the comments after the video. And once you have that exported out on a daily, either through FTP, Google Drive, then you're going to have to run that script, like schedule it in your actual AdWords MCC, and then just kind of monitor it. Make sure that the ads are formatted properly. There's, like Frederick had mentioned, there's no spaces or errors or typos, things like that. And then, just enjoy spending your time on other optimizations within the account. So I'm going to open up for some Q&A here, if anybody has any. Just going to go to the page real quick, Fred, and see if there's any questions from the community. If not, we can always answer them offline as well, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so it looks like that it's obviously still recording. So I think we're good on the Q&A, Frederick. I think we got off scot clean on this one.
Okay, sounds good. Well, if anyone has questions, my email is frederick@optimizer.com, or just go to our website and connect with the help section right there. We'll go through Mike, and Mike knows how to get a hold of me as well. And anyone who wants to talk to us about maybe trying this out, we can get you started with a little bit of a discount in the beginning. So just email me, email Mike, and we'll hook you up.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Frederick. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Mike. Thank you.
Bye.